Welcome to the Poetry Box Live. And that brings us to our final poet for tonight, David Belmont. David Belmont is the author of World Gone Zoom, Notes from the American Epicenter. He is a mixed media artist and community organizer living in New York City. David writes memoir, short fiction, and poetry, as well as instrumental music. His work has appeared in The Poeming Pigeon, Wildflower Muse, and Fish Food magazine. He is currently the co-music director of the Castillo Theater and has been a professional musician for 50 years. You can find his recordings on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon. It's my pleasure to welcome David Belmont.
Thank you, Shawn. Wow, we had sex and dogs. That pretty much covers the entire universe. So I'm not for nothing. We're dog people around here. We have an 8-year-old Labradoodle named Penelope. I kid you not. Okay, well, thank you for having me, and thank the Poetry Box for doing such a wonderful job on the book. I love that community. I actually came to Portland to read when you published the first piece that I sent you and met some of you in person. Remember that? In-person meetings. This book I started to write it on March 12th of last year. Just when New York was about to go into lockdown, I thought it was one poem that I was going to call World Gone Zoom. Then they really locked down New York on the day I finished the first poem. So I said, well, maybe I'll take some more notes. Then it became, I'll write a poem a week. Then it was several poems a week. And then it was a book. So that kind of grew organically. I am going to excerpt from the book. It is literally a diary. Every poem is dated. And I'll warn you in advance, I'm a liberal employer of epigraphs. Thank you. March 16th, 2020. World Gone Zoom. Why in the world are we here? Surely not to live in pain and fear. Why on earth are you there when you're everywhere? John Lennon, 1970. What you up to? Washing my hands? With you on that. Been doing it for 20 minutes. Supposed to be 20 seconds. I'm front loading. People in Italy are singing from their balconies. Folks in Pennsylvania are praying for toilet paper. Social distancing? Modern alienation not good enough for you? Gonna get on the subway, hang out with the germs. From ban the bomb to ban the bug. The original title of Elvis Costello's Armed Forces album was Emotional Fascism. This is the Euro-American baby boomers, World War II. March 30th, 2020. Life during wartime. This ain't no party, this ain't no disco, this ain't no fooling around. David Byrne, 1979. So this is war. Xmas is over. Unfortunately, the germs didn't sign on to the Geneva Agreement. John Lennon's imagined world turned unsafe for hippies and just about everyone else. Kim and I are living in a studio. She calls it our student apartment. In honor of that, she's playing some Joni Mitchell. Joni didn't much like hippies, but hippies adored Joni, as did just about everyone else. Hospitals are overrun, restaurants are closing, the economy is in shambles. As the Freak Brothers used to say, dope will get you through times of no money. Better than money will get you through times of no dope. Me, I'm just looking to separate the high from the anxiety. Trump just announced he was extending the federal social distancing guidelines till the end of April and moving Easter to mid-May. The shape of the space-time continuum keeps shifting. Ambulances keep pulling up to my building. My niece Ami in New Haven gave birth to a boy at 2 a.m. last Monday. Life goes on. April 15th, 2020. Thank you. How long blues? Heard the whistle blowing, couldn't see no train. Leroy Carr, 1928. An underground bohemian club, pairs of people at small circular tables, 6 feet from each other in random pattern. Persian percussionists provide the background as ambient sounds wander around the room. Causality, a slippery slope in the best of times, has gone awry. America has gone from red and blue to black and blue. History has come from behind the curtain. Politicians ponder the possibility of reopening. What follows pause? Play, fast forward, rewind? We scratch our heads wearing gloves. Zoom cocktail parties are all the rage at any time of day. The gap between the rulers and everyone else is widening by the hour. Ordinary people of the world unite. You have nothing to lose and a world to rebuild. Arundhati Roy is urging us to travel light. So when you re-enter, leave your debt and data at the door. Thank you. April 19th, 2020. Henry Grimes. We lost another sweet soul this week for the second time. Given up for dead in the late 60s, Henry was discovered in 2002 for the second time. Ironically, his second career was longer than his first. I feel blessed to have seen him many times. Once I saw him play a duet with himself. Feathery round bass notes accompanied by airy harmonics. I hope you come around again, Henry. Thank you. April 21st, 2020. The corner store. She returned to the bodega for the bag she couldn't pay for the first time. She was back with the money, but without her mask. Forgot it on the kitchen table. They let her in. We let her go to the front of the line. Her eyes wild behind smooth, dark, black skin. She said, I hope when this gets worse, they don't bite our faces off. I had to agree. I hope we don't die of desperation or despondency. April 27th, 2020. We're in previews. When the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. Hunter S. Thompson, 1971. Florida's governor reopened some beaches just in time for a late spring break. Georgia's governor wants to reopen tattoo parlors. Can't wait to get a mask tattoo on my face applied at a proper social distance. A new Rolling Stones single just dropped. England's newest hitmakers. What year is this? What century is this? What planet is this? Living in a Ghost Town, the movie. Screenplay by Samuel Beckett. Score by Frank Zappa. with selected sound cues by Sun Ra. A woman jogs by, muttering, "It would be nice to not know that nothing is happening." The checks from Trump say, "Economic impact payment." Now, what is that supposed to mean? Uncle Andy wants us to act prudently in connection with the facts. We're getting ready for reopening. Watch out for us. May 11th, 2020. Americans in conversation. And it's one more day up in the canyon, and it's one more night in Hollywood. Adam Duritz, Counting Crows, 1996. Central Park, COVID culture. An athletic man pushes a carriage, taking the baby out for a run. A young mother and daughter jogging in an Eastern European language. A bird watcher packing a machete, bushwhacking the North Woods. Pairs of people on motorized bikes enter the park at midnight to enjoy the clear track on the oval. Social distancing on fluid parade. Evaluating mask etiquette is unavoidable. The nightly grassroots concerts from across the street made it onto G0 World. Automatic weapons in the Michigan State House Gallery. Bikers running red lights and doing wheelies in front of acquiescent cops. 15 minutes of fame survives the pandemic. Sports stadiums now empty foxholes. Broken plays, halftime oranges. Hand sanitizer as Huxley's Soma. Air-conditioned masks for summer. Gig work dissolves in a puddle of red ink in the New York Times. Not our parents' Great Depression when rich people jumped out of windows. Now they just cash their bailout checks. Uncle Andy says we haven't yet killed the beast. I hope we've at least stabbed it with our steely knives. Some folks want to go back to normal. Arundhati Roy says that's the last thing we'd want to go back to. Karl Marx says you can change the past, but you can't go back to it. Thomas Wolfe says you can't go home again. No worries, mate, we're already here. Thanks. May 20th, 2020. No chains around my feet, but I'm not free. Where is the love to be found? Bob Marley, 1972. Purple dawn over Manhattan. Lush spring turf underneath. Mask up, mask down. Having a semblance of a day. Who knows what the virus is up to? The germs ain't talking. Uncommunicative, yet communicable. Bodies pile up as we can't bury the dead. The return of the Tauntaun Makutes. Outside my window, there's an open air body shop and no overhead garage where the mechanics eschew masks and smoke weed. Coronavirus parties, anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers only, wearing super spreader t-shirts. Uncle Andy getting a tan on his terrace, calling nursing homes. E.O. Wilson is turning over in his grave, and he's still alive. Get tested, quantify uncertainty. Reopening in America. Where is Gil Scott-Heron when we need him? Date check. May 25th, 2020 is the day that the torture murder of George Floyd went viral. June 1st, 2020, on the corner. I'm standing at the crossroad. I believe I'm sinking down. Robert Johnson, 1936. Medical masks double as yarmulkes. Street muffins taste better with mask down. Limited presidential campaigning, something to seriously consider for the new normal. Terror has transformed to malaise. I guess Cuomo was right to call it pause. In Minneapolis, the police just hit play. We're pulling out of Afghanistan. Can we pull out of the pandemic and police brutality? June 21st, 2020. View from my terrace. She's a rock and roll singer and a true dead ringer for something like you ain't never seen. Robbie Robertson, 1970. Trump got punked by TikTok teens. Uncle Andy's roadshow closed to rave reviews. No one wants it to reopen. All manner of wheeled devices scurry through the streets. Pedestrians dodge them, their faces at half mask. Fireworks on oral display all night long. Their debris hits our now closed first floor windows. Dave Chappelle does 27 spot-on minutes, about 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I share his love for the young protesters, creating the most democratic moment in the history of the world. Black Lives Matter, marching with LGBTQ. Fred Newman's demonstration dream comes to life. Our organizing activity is a drop in the ocean because the ocean showed up. Time for a swim. It's Father's Day. My father would have loved this. Thank you. And I'm going to do one more. This is kind of a bonus track. It's a more recent pandemic-inspired poem that I dedicate to a public figure who I imagine is greatly relieved and is certainly rejuvenated by the change of administrations in Washington. It's called Dynamic Duo. Groucho Marx and Anthony Fauci are joining forces. The Grouch and Fauch tour. Anthony will charm us with his folksy brand of epidemiology, while Groucho transforms Anthony's hard science into one-liners. Easy on the eyes, easy on the mind. Ghostwriters wanted. Thank you.
Wow. David, that was incredible. You know, I have to say, I've been reading a lot of pandemic poetry lately, as I'm sure we all have. And your approach, bringing in the music, wrapping the tragic in this blanket of irony and humor is really quite fresh.
Oh, thank you.
And it's quite a testament to your talent as a writer to have created a book on such a heavy topic and yet make it such a fun read. I have to say, just working on this book with you really brought me a lot of comfort throughout this past year. So I personally just want to thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Writing it brought me a considerable amount.
That's good. That's good. You make us look at some really hard truths, but you do it in a fun way, you know. So we're not ready to like kill ourselves, you know. So I appreciate that. And I want to remind everybody that David's book is coming out on May 18th, and so we're still have a few days left for the pre-sale period. So you can still order his book at a little discount on our website. So be sure and check that out.